The costing structure really evolved into the franchise model. As I'd grown, I started to see that I was running into the same problems that the Casa had run into, not being a local, having all these satellite offices and not being able to control what was happening in the quality. I was watching all of this, deterioration of the service quality I had in my business as I expanded to other cities and markets, really starting to deteriorate. And I needed a way to bring ownership back into Casago. So we started to work with people who had been with the company for a long time to give them the opportunity to actually own the other markets. And it took off. There were some really great people inside of Casago who just needed the opportunity to become their own person and grow, and they did it. 2018, I had been at a VRMA executive and seen what was going on and had some really great and meaningful discussions with our franchisees or our current franchisees about the opportunity of using, our tools and enterprise shared services for them. And I said, if I could provide these enterprise tools at a price that is better than what you could do on your own, and it made your business better, do you think that'd be something you'd be interested in? And they both said yes. And off we went. And it's been a really great experience ever since. When we think about the franchise model, it's not just about the trust that we're putting into that new franchise partner, but also the trust that we're keeping stewardship of with the rest of our franchise partners, right? So choosing the right, person to run a new Casago and represent the brand isn't just about some sort of corporate, identity. It's about the trust of all of the partners, making sure that they uphold a reputation and that represents everybody else. So I don't know, excuse me. So I don't know if you know this, but we turn down about 50% of the people who apply to be a franchisee. And a lot of that comes from trust and culture and just making sure we're the right fit for them and they're the right fit for us. Once they sign on, we have the Orange Credo, which we have an extensive conversation about. We make sure that we're on the same page with how we're thinking about being owner-centric, about taking care of our guests, nurturing our relationships, anticipating the needs of, all of those who we meet, the homeowners and the guests, and then, guiding each other with leadership and kindness, yet holding the standards, and then providing that standard as a form of excellence. Having conversations about that constantly helps build the culture and holding each other accountable. We have Casago University. We bought a piece of land, built a facility on it, and have a full-time staff that does nothing but training, provides support, and offers a large body of educational materials that we work from to make sure that our partners are finding success. And it's really worked because 95% of our franchise partners are super hosts or premier partners or both. And it's a real testament to the type of people that first sign up to be part of Casago, but then also our ability to help support them and provide those sort of standards. We also have been building out the short-term rental operating system. And this is something that I've been working on for years. And now with the types of resources that we're getting to have access to, with this merger, our ability to build out an entire operating system for our franchise partners based on EOS, but really specific to what we do in the short-term rental industry, so that our franchise partners not only get the training, the support, the software, the systems, the community, but they're also getting a standardized operating system that they can get onto and really help them manage their business in a meaningful way, along with our partner success managers that are there, every single day making sure that our partners are finding that success. We're a very high touch business. I always say if you haven't talked to us at least 3 times this week, you haven't picked up the phones or shown up to the meetings, because we have meetings every single day with our partners. We have the orange meetings, we have one-on-ones, we have support meetings, we have accounting meetings, business development. These are the sort of training cycles that we use to make sure that our community is really growing. And a lot of that is based on the short-term rental operating system that we're building out. Boots on the ground is something that we take very seriously. Having somebody who owns their own market, you know, looking out after their homeowners and having skin in the game really changes the dynamic of what's happening for our homeowners and for our guests and for the community itself, along with our teammates. If you think about where that decision is being made, the closer to the door of that property the decision is being made for that homeowner, the better the outcomes are for that homeowner, for the guests, for our teammates, and for the community. And I think something that's really important is understanding that when you walk down the street as a part of the community and you see your neighbors, you meet your homeowners, there's a social responsibility there. And I think that makes for better outcomes for all the stakeholders involved. We have somebody in Snowshoe, her name is Jetta. And Jetta is the kind of person who is truly boots on the ground. She got a call in the middle of a snowstorm that one of the bedrooms just wasn't getting warm enough. And instead of just saying, well, we'll wait till tomorrow to take care of it, in the middle of the snowstorm, she packs up blankets from her house, drives it up a mountain, and delivers this so that everybody can be warm and comfortable. That's the kind of boots on the ground that's required to provide the hospitality that this industry deserves and our guests need and our homeowners expect. When you think about being very local and the experiences you have, the truth is if you've never walked that house, you don't know when somebody calls and the door's sticking how to fix it. You're like, oh gosh, that door must have swollen again. If you'll turn the knob and just lift a little bit, it opens right up. You can never know those nuances of a homeowner's property until you've walked it, until you've inspected it, until you've had conversations with guests about it, until you've seen it yourself and have that memory. It's just never going to be the type of boots on the ground hospitality and service that we truly need in this industry and what our partners provide here at Casago. We have a lot of independently owned offices at Casago, and one of the keys to be able to build a brand that's forward facing and trusted is making sure we have consistency, right? So how are we doing that? First of all, Casago University having a centralized training facility in which we all start to speak the same language, we all start to have the same principles, we all start to understand the same standards is a big part of that. We provide a very robust, what we call SPA, the standard property appearance, so that we make sure that the properties are, while unique, you can also see the consistency of quality and service of how we provide that for our guests and the service for our homeowners. Interestingly enough, our partners, when we talk to them, are always looking for ways to be more consistent with their other franchise partners across the board. It's really fascinating how seriously they take this. And they often come to us with ideas and bring new ways of figuring out how to make sure that while we keep our individual characteristics of a property, that when you go to a Casago Orlando, you're getting the same experience as a Casago Scottsdale or a Casago San Diego. And I think that is one of the things that makes Casago really special, because it's not this command and control model. It's inspired from the grassroots movement of people who really want to do something special. And I think that comes from selecting the right people and bringing them together and sharing the vision. And it's really the franchise partners who continuously lead that charge of making us better, higher quality, and we don't have to control them. They come together to coordinate, and it's really beautiful. My vision for vacation rentals is that we get back to being local. We love our communities. We don't use our communities. That's a saying I got from Nick Lanza in Big Bear. He's our franchise there because he really loves his community and he provides a lot of stewardship over that community, even outside of his own business. And I really think that's important to how we go forward. There's so much regulation happening. And the reason that regulation is happening is because we as an industry have allowed bad actors to represent us as a whole. We have to figure out how we go out and get fair legislation, how we get fair regulation, so that we don't have bad actors creating a whiplash effect for those of us who want to be good neighbors with the community and provide something of a stewardship, but also something of being the ambassador to those who are visiting for the first time to these communities. So I think that's my hope for the future. There's a lot of saturation that's going on. We are seeing that inventory shrink right now. And I think that's a good thing because the truth is, having really great individual unit economics, meaning that having great incomes for individual homeowners, is really the driver of this industry. And we got to get back to that. And we have to get into a place where we have that balance of being able to have a solid industry that does well for everybody, not just those who are willing to race to the bottom or willing to over-occupy. It needs to be an industry that regulates itself. I tell my son a lot of the time that you're going to get disciplined. Self-discipline is always the best discipline, because when somebody else shows up to discipline you, whether it be your dad or just life in general or your boss, you're not going to like it. And I think we have to turn that towards our industry as a whole, that we have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to be the ones to make sure that we're being good actors and that we're requiring those who are in our industry to also be good actors for our cities, for our stakeholders, and for our homeowners and guests.